backgrounds. Welcome to the Forbidden Fruit. Today we're going to have a long episode. We are finally starting season 2 of The Walking Dead. A couple people have asked me about that. It's here now. I am going to be covering the first 6 episodes, so I do believe this is going to be a long one. And then the next episode will cover the rest of the season. We got the cat here this time. Hopefully he stays. We are going to just get started. Season 2, Episode 1. If you remember, at the end of last season, they left the CDC, it blew up, and they were driving in their little caravan. That's how the show ended. Everyone is in their cars this season, not the show. This season opens up. They're in the cars. They're driving. We see in the car with Carl and Sophia and their families. Remember the little kids, Rick and Lori's kids, and Carol and piece of shit Ed's kid? Don't worry, he's dead. And they're kind of like talking about how they're going to be characters this season. They want to have goals. They want to have dreams. They want to have aspirations. It's cute. We'll see what the writers think. I guess we're gonna have some child characters instead of like mannequins. You remember? They didn't do anything last season. We're driving. We're out. We're on the highway. We're in the caravan. They're vroom vrooming. And then there's a traffic jam. Can't even get rid of traffic jams when there's nobody left to drive. So it turns out it's just a bunch of abandoned cars. But also the RV broke down. Remember the Winnebago? It always breaks down when like the plot demands it. So they all stop and they're like looking through the other cars, scavenging shit, looking for Tylenol, looking for chicken. We don't know. We're gonna see what they get. I think Carl finds a knife, but not right now. Don't worry about that later. Come on, stick with the program. They're looking through all of the cars, getting their supplies and shit, siphoning off gas. I think Shane finds some water. Look, I'm not going to talk about Shane. He does stuff this season. It sucks. I'm only going to talk about him if I absolutely have to because I kind of hate him. He's bad vibes. We don't have to worry about him. Just assume whenever I'm not talking about him that he's being a piece of shit. And because I don't want to talk about him, unfortunately, a lot of Andrea's stuff gets cut this season because she's just hanging out with him too much. So like, sorry, bye. You're off the review. I'll still talk about them when I have to. So, Andrea, she's in the Winnebago and she took her little handgun apart. Her handgun that she got from her dad. I don't know if I talked about it last season. That's her gun. But she took it apart and she can't put it back together. So, like, maybe don't take it apart. Or, like, you have fascist police boys with you. Have one of them do it. What are you thinking? While they're all searching and Andrea's trying to put her Millennium Puzzle gun back together, Dale's on top of the Winnebago, keeping watch with his binoculars, and they see a bunch of zombies coming. A horde, a group. There's probably a couple dozen. Honestly, later on in the show, like, they would have just sent, like, one person out to deal with them. And they wouldn't have even used guns. It would have been, like, a sick katana. But anyways, everyone has to, like, hide. Dale lays down on top of the Winnebago. Everyone else has to like hide underneath the cars while all the zombies stumble past. At one point, T-Dog does like scratch up his arm pretty bad while he's like going to hide. But Daryl saves him. He's not racist anymore, you guys. See, I told you, character development. I don't think he's racist anymore. We'll see. Everyone's like hiding from the zombies. The zombies are stumbly mumbly through. They're going through the cars. Everyone's hiding under cars and they can see them and they're scared. Andrea's in the RV and she like doesn't even realize, but then she does realize, so she hides in the RV bathroom. Then one of the zombies comes onto the RV because the door was just open. Whoops, Andrea. She took her gun apart. She can't get it back together. She's hiding in the little RV toilet. There's no room in there. You can't fight. Dale's still on top of the RV. So the zombie, stumbly mumbly, he's going through the RV and he tries to get into the bathroom. He's trying to push the door open, but she's trying to keep it closed. And Dale is up on top of the RV, remember? And there's a little vent there. So Dale throws her down like a screwdriver. She's like, well, this is my weapon. So her and the zombie, they wrestle, you guys. They're wrestling. And she stabs him right in the head. Right there. She got her killing. She didn't use her gun because she still can't get it back together. Good Lord, Andrea. Come on. Okay. So we have Sophia and Carl are hiding under some cars. The zombies are still walking past. Then we've got like Rick and Lori and Carol, and they can see the kids, but they're not like close enough to do anything, you know? But like, it's fine. They're just under the cars. But then a zombie almost gets Sophia. Remember Sophia? She's going to be a character this season, you guys. It's terrifying. So Sophia almost gets got. So she has to run off into the forest alone. She thinks she's going to have her little solo moment, her little Beyonce moment, her little Rachel Berry moment. If you know, you know, you know. She runs off into the woods. There's like only 2 zombies coming after her, which is really lucky because there was like probably 40 stumbling through all the cars. So she better count her lucky zombies that only 2 of them are coming after her. So Rick runs off into the forest after her to save her. I'm sure she's going to be fine. Don't even worry. She is going to be a character this season, she said at the beginning. And also she's like fine in the comics to this day. So like she's fine. Don't even worry about it. Rick is going through the forest and he gets her and they're like at a little river thing and Rick has to tell her to like stay right here and hide so that he can draw the 2 zombies away because it's still early in the show. He can't fight 2 of them at once yet. Again, in later seasons, he could have done this with only 1 hand. That is a comic reference. Try to keep up. Read a book. So he tells Sophia to stay here and hide in the mud. Ew. And he's gonna run away and draw the zombies away. So he splashes down the river and he's like, "Hey, you guys, zombies, I'm right here, come eat me." So the zombies go after Rick, and he, like, draws them away, and then he kills them one at a time later. And then he goes back to get Sophia. Where is she? She's not where he told her to hide. What happened? Where'd she go? We don't know. Nobody knows. So Rick has to go back up to the highway and be like, "You guys, I lost the kid, but I'm sure she's fine." Carol's not happy about that. The group goes off looking for Sophia. Dale and T-Dog stay back at the camp. And Daryl takes basically everyone else to go look for Sophia because Daryl is a redneck tracker. He can find his way through the woods whenever the plot demands it and not when it doesn't. So they're looking for Sophia on the Sophia search. And as they're going, like, they find this church. It's like nothing really happens, but when they go inside, there is a really cool zombie with like a church veil on, and she looks incredible. Also, Shane talks about wanting to leave the group. We can only hope. So they're at the church. They spend some time there. Sophia's not there. Duh. So like they're all there. Carl's there too. Carl's helping look because Carl likes Sophia. They're characters this season. So they're off looking, and then like part of the group goes back to the highway because it's starting to get late. Then it's just Shane and Carl and Rick, and they're still looking through the woods. And while they're looking, they come across like a little opening clearing, and there's a deer, a female deer. It's not even like CGI. It's a real deer, I'm pretty sure. We don't know. Later on in the show, they're CGI. I have to sneeze. So they're looking at the deer, and Carl's getting closer to it. He's having the time of his life. He's never seen a deer this close. It might be a metaphor for something. We're not sure. We'll find out later. The deer could be a metaphor. If you figure it out, leave it in the comments. The episode ends with Carl looking at the deer. He's close to it. And then the deer explodes and kills Carl. No, what happened? A thing shoots through the deer and hits Carl. Out of the deer. What was it? There was a hunter on the other side of the deer who shot the deer, and the bullet went through and hit Carl right in the tum-tum, in the tim-tam. The writers were like, "No, kids, you're not gonna be characters this season. Don't piss off the writers or they will kill children." Can I say that on YouTube? So that's the end of the episode. Episode 2. So, Carl has been shot by the hunter in the tim-tam. But it's okay, the hunter's real sorry about it, you guys. His name is Otis, and he tells Rixty and Shanesty to take Carl to Herschel's farm. It's like a half a mile that way. Just run that way. Otis can't like keep up with them because he's a little slower and older. So they're running. Rick's carrying Carl, and we get to Herschel's farm. It is glorious. So I'm going to talk about Herschel's family real quick. They're a bunch of crockpot bitches. Obviously, that's a compliment. I love them. But you just know, if you see them around town when they're not at home, you just know. They've got something delicious waiting for them back home at the slow cooker that they don't even have to put any effort in to eat. That's not fair. You don't have a crock pot. So Rick is like, "Hey, your friend shot my son. Can you save him?" And they're like, oh shit, Otis did that. I guess you better come on in. And Herschel is like, "Put pressure on his stomach. I'm gonna doctor my way around and see what's happening." And Herschel's like, "Yep. He's been shot. You're going to have to do something about that. That's really bad for a boy his age." Can I say that on YouTube? Herschel is starting to do surgery on Carl. He's doing that for most of the episode. If I don't talk about him, just assume that he's cutting Carl up, and I don't want to talk about it because it looks gross. So he's doing the surgery. He's helping him, and Lori still doesn't know. So Rick is like, "Oh shit!" And Rick has to stay there because he has to like donate blood if he needs to. So it's just Rick and Shane there. And Shane is like comforting Rick, but I'm not going to talk about it because I hate him. Herschel's still doing some surgery, and then they go in, and Carl's like asleep and he's bandaged up. But Herschel is like, "Look, my boys, y'all got to go into town and get me more medical supplies so that I can do more surgery on him. Otherwise, he's definitely going to die." So Shane is like, "Well, I'll go get it." And Otis is going to go with him because Otis still feels really guilty, as he should. So they go off to get it. And Rick is still like, "Lori doesn't know. Nobody knows." And Maggie, Herschel's daughter, we love her. She sticks around for the long term. She is going to go tell the group what happened and bring Lori back. She rides off on a horse. It's incredible. She goes and gets Lori. When she rides up to Lori, she also sees Glenn for the first time. And she also, like, I think hits a zombie with a baseball bat, which is foreshadowing for Glenn. Don't ask about it. She takes Lori back to the farm, back to Crockpot Farm, and she finds out about Carl, and she's devastated. And also, Lori is like talking to Herschel, and she's like, "But you're like a doctor, right? So you can do the surgery and everything's going to be fine." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm a doctor. I'm a veterinarian." And she gets real uppity about that. Like she's going to be able to like shop around for surgeons. First of all, my sister's a veterinarian, and I would not let a human doctor operate on me. Lori and Rick are sad together. And I think Rick's like donating a bunch of blood too. And if Shane and Otis don't get back in time, Herschel's going to have to try to do the surgery without any of the supplies. And Carl's like probably not going to make it. But I'm sure he'll be fine. The writers wouldn't kill off Carl. He survives all the way through the comics. They would never do that. We see Shane, Stee, and Otis. I'm sorry, I have to talk about Shane here. And they're going through the place to get the medical supplies. And there's zombies everywhere, all over. Mumbly stumbly, looking around, doing that kind of thing. But don't worry, it's super easy. Shane and Otis just are smarter, so they go around them and they get into the place and get all the medical supplies that they're going to need to save Carl, the little boy. Remember, he got shot by that deer when it exploded? I mean, when Otis hit them. Oh, also, Otis and Shane are a new Spice Girls. Did you guys realize this? One of them is Murder Spice. We'll find out who later. So, the Spice Girls. They've got the medical supplies, and now they've got to go to leave. And guess what? Remember there were all those zombies, a whole bunch of them? They're still there, and now they're all around them, and they've got to run. They're running all over the place, to and fro, left and right, up and down. They're in the gym. Shane jumps out a window. The other guy jumps out another window. So, like, they're both kind of, like, hurt their ankles, and they're hobbling away, but they've got all the shit, all the medical supplies that they need to save little Coral. They're hobbling away, but some of the zombies are behind them, and they're chasing them. And again, these zombies are a little bit too fast. They're hobbling real quick, like they're French or something. Watch Walking Dead World Beyond. It has stuff about France. Also, to the one person that's been watching my videos with the French subtitles on, I see you in my analytics. DiGiorno, that one's for you. Otis and Shane are running away from the zombies, and they're getting closer, and they're out of bullets. Shane's like, "Are you out of bullets?" And Otis is like, "Yeah, what about you?" And Shane's like, "I've only got the one left." And Shane's hobbling away, and Otis is hobbling away, and Shane takes his little gun. What's he do? He shoots Otis right in the leg. Murder Spice. Can you believe? And he takes the medical supplies from him, and he hobbles away, and all the zombies eat Otis. What? So then Shane gets back, and he's got all the medical supplies, so they're able to start surgery to save Carl. And Shane is like, "Otis died a hero, you guys. I'm an idiot, you guys." Shane doesn't kill Otis till episode 3. Whoops. The end of episode 2 ends with them surrounded by zombies. What's going to happen? We don't know. Nobody knows. How could you know that? I don't know that. Ignore the spoilers. Season 2, episode 3. I wonder what's going to happen. It actually opens. You know what? I'm not even going to pretend it. Shane killed Otis. I'm going to keep this in chronological order because they try to go past it and be like, "Ooh, what happened?" So we open up the episode with Shane Stee shaving his head. He's back at the farms. They got all the medical supplies. Shane's shaving his head. We're entering our bald head era, our Punisher era, our feral era, our violent era. We don't like Shane. He's only getting worse. We do like the actor, though. He's doing a great job. He's making me hate him. We get a cute scene with Daryl and Carol talking because Daryl has been looking for Sophia nonstop. He is always looking for Sophia. If I'm not saying something about Daryl, just assume that he's off in the woods on the Sophia search. And Daryl and Carol are like starting to get a little bit closer because they are starting to understand each other. They're both beautiful people, and their friendship means so much to me. We also get to see Glenn and Maggie officially meet for the first time. OTP 5 ever. They're a little flirty already. We love to see it. And then we see Rick and Lori, and they're still sad. I think Carl's still in surgery. He's not better yet. And Rick and Lori are still sad, and their vibes are just horrible. So I'm not going to talk about them. Like, it's understandable, but you're bringing the mood down. We're skipping you. Skip. Treating you like Shane. Then this episode actually shows what happened where Shane shot Otis in the leg. Pretend you didn't know that, because I'm not going to cut it out. You heard it. So yeah, then the episode shows like as a flashback. It shows Shane shoot Otis in the leg, and then he comes back with all the medical supplies, and Herschel is able to start treatment on Carl, and Herschel is like, don't tell Patricia, Otis's wife, because she's like the nurse that's helping with the surgery. So they don't even tell her until afterwards, and she's very sad, understandably, because Shane's a piece of shit and we hate him now. And then episode 3 also ends with Shane back still shaving his head off, full circle of bald-headed life. That's the end of the episode. Kind of a short one because I spoiled it in the last one. Sorry, you guys. So we're on to episode 4 opens. We see Carl is like getting better. It's post-surgery. He's resting. He's got bandages on his tummy. He's gonna be fine now. The whole group is at the farm. So they've all kind of like moved right in. I'm sure Herschel's completely fine with that, you guys. And then we have a funeral for Otis. We get to see Otis's family, Patricia, and Herschel's other daughter, Beth. Hey, Bethsty. Beth and Maggie are incredible characters. There's also like I said, Patricia and another boy there named Jimmy. Honestly, you don't have to worry about them. The important people are Herschel, Maggie, and Bethsty. So they're at the funeral. Beth has erected this beautiful stone pile of rocks in honor of Otis. We love to see it. And Patricia's crying. They're having like a little funeral moment. And then they ask Shane to speak at Otis's funeral. Completely inappropriate. And Patricia is like, please, Shane, you were with him at the end. So Shane talks about him. Shane like talks about him, and he's like, he died a hero. He felt so bad for, hitting Carl with that bullet on accident that he just volunteered to die to save Carl on purpose. It's honestly beautiful. Except that Shane's lying to everyone because he's a piece of shit. Because he killed Otis, remember? Keep up. Herschel has a little, like, chit-chat with Rick, because they're, like, the two leaders of the two groups, so they talk a lot. And Herschel tells Rick that if the group is going to be on his property, he would really prefer it if they weren't constantly armed to the teeth with all their guns. That's honestly perfectly reasonable. They're on his land, there are fences, and there's, like, fields around them, so if any zombies come, they're going to see them. That's, like, reasonable, but it's also gonna cause a lot of drama later. We'll have to wait and see. Maggie and Glenn and Maggie, OTP, they are going to go on a supply run into town to the pharmacy, not the same place that Shane and Otis went that was all zombies. There's no zombies here. So they're gonna go into town and do a little supply run, but not yet. It's gonna be a little bit later, and they're gonna flirt the whole time, and I'm gonna love it. Herschel also tells Rick that the group can only stay at the farm until they find Sophia, the search for Sophia off in the woods, on her solo moment, her Beyonce moment, her Rachel Berry moment. So Rick is kind of like, oh yeah, that's fine. But like, you can tell he's like, I'm going to change his mind. We're going to move in here. It's going to be fine. That's also going to cause drama later because that's a secret now. Rick doesn't tell anyone. That's a secret. Then we have Lori. And Lori talks to Glenn because he's about to go out on the supply run with Maggie. OTP. We love them. So Lori asks Glenn to get her some little like secret lady things. Turns out it's a pregnancy test. We're not keeping that secret. That's another secret, though, and now Glenn has to keep that one. But he doesn't realize he's getting a pregnancy test yet. So, like, that'll be later, too. Drama! And then Dale and Co. go to one of the wells on the farm. Maggie tells them they can go to the well. And they open it up and look inside. And what's inside the well? A well walker, a water walker, a well water walker, zombie. He's down there. He's bloated. He looks disgusting. I wouldn't drink that water. And they're like, well, dang, I guess we got to get him out of there so that he doesn't contaminate all the water. I already wouldn't drink it. So they send Glenn down into the well with like a rope, and he's going to like loop it around the zombie and they're going to drag it up. This is a bad idea, obviously. So the plan goes wrong. Glenn almost gets bit, duh, but they pull him out of the well and he doesn't get bit. He's fine. For now. And they go to pull the zombie out, the disgusting water walker, well walker zombie, and they pull him out, but then he like grossly rips in half and like half of him falls back into the water and it's like all gutsy and bloody now. So it's even worse than before. They can't drink that. Like I already said, I wouldn't want to. So that well's kind of just like done now. We have a little scene with Daryl. He's still on the Sophia search, the search for Sophia on her little solo moment. The writers hate her. She's not going to be a character. Yes, she is. Don't worry. Daryl's off looking through the woods. He comes across this like little abandoned house and he maybe finds evidence of her because somebody slept in like a little cupboard and they would only have to be like yay high to do that. So it was probably Sophia. She slept in the little cupboards down there. And then Daryl also picks a flower to give to Carol later. And that's really sweet. He's going to give it to her later in the episode. Their friendship is everything. Also, Andrea wants Shane to teach her how to shoot, but
we hate Shane, so we're not going to talk about them.
We cut to Glenn and Maggie. They're on their run to the pharmacy. They get to the pharmacy. What do they do first?
First, they flirt in the pharmacy.
And then they fuck in the pharmacy.
So romantic. In public. But, like, that's where the condoms are, so I'm sure they're fine. It's going to be okay. And, like, they're going to get married, so don't even worry about that. Spoilers. We get to see Daryl give Carol the flower. They have a really sweet moment, and, like, they're just really cute. They both have great, like, character developments, and I love them. Then the episode ends with Rick talking to Carl. Carl's still on bed rest because of his tummy. His tummy hurts. He's got a tummy ache. Carl's still in the bed. And Rick talks to him because remember last season, Rick got shot in the tummy too? So now it's like a parallel. They're father and son, you know? And so Rick gives Carl his cowboy hat because he's a cowboy sheriff. So he gives Carl the cowboy hat and it's really sweet. And Carl is going to wear that hat for the rest of his too short time on the show. Spoilers. Also at the end of the episode, we see Lori taking her pregnancy test. She's totally pregnant. Judith incoming, anyone? That's the end of the episode. Season 2, episode 5. We are almost there, you guys. We're making it. We're gonna make it. So, we open up with Rick and Daryl and Andrea too. They want to go off on the Sophia search. I'm pretty sure this is going to be a Daryl episode. I am excited for that. They kind of like split up on their search. So we see Rick and Shane are searching together. I didn't mention that Shane was here because I hate him. You know that. And they're off walking through the woods and they're being gross. Honestly, Shane brings out the worst in Rick. It's just like in season 1 when they were in their cop car in episode 1 and they were like talking shit about women. I don't remember if I talked about that, but they definitely did. And now they're walking through the woods talking about their gross high school escapades from like literally 20 years ago. And Shane is like, oh yeah, I used to have sex with all of the girls. And it's like, that was 20 years ago. You're gross. Then Shane tells Rick that they need to stop the Sophia search, the search for Sophia. Even though Daryl just found the evidence of her last episode, they know she's still out there, you know? Daryl just found the evidence. And Rick doesn't want to stop the Sophia search because he has a heart. And what if it was Carl and he's not a piece of shit like Shane? Although you could argue that later in the show, Rick does get a little Shaney. But don't worry about that. Everything shook because the cat just jumped up on the desk. He's gonna be all in the way. I can already tell. Daryl, we see Daryl on his Sophia search, the search for Sophia part 2. And he's off on his own. He's on a horse. a horse that he stole from Herschel. He took it without asking. He doesn't even know that this horse is named Nervous Nellie because she's nervous. So Daryl's going along on the horse on Nervous Nell, and he finds another clue, another Sophia clue for the Sophia search. And it's a doll. It's Sophia's doll that she had. So, like, that means she was probably near here. But it was, like, in a, like, riverbank, so maybe it floated from somewhere else. But he's got a clue. But then the horse gets spooked and, like, knees! And Daryl gets thrown from the horse, and he falls off a cliff and, like, hits his head or something. But he's probably fine. This is a Daryl episode, you know? Never mind. He didn't hit his side. He got impaled on one of his own arrows, his crossbow bolts, right through him. It looks gross. But, like, I'm sure he's fine. It's not good, though. Then Daryl, like, kind of gets up. He's got that arrow sticking right through him, going straight through. So he's gotta get back up and climb up the cliff. So he climbs up the steep foresty cliff, and he gets like almost up to the top, but then he falls down all the way back down to the bottom, just like Jack and Jill, just like Sisyphus and the boulder. So this time he fell back down, and this time he hit his head. And now he starts having like a little, I guess it's a dream about Merle, his brother Merle. Remember the hand that he took from season 1? You guys remember? Watch my other videos. What are you doing? Merle shows up in a dream. It's not a ghost because Merle's still alive, remember? Probably. He'll come back next season, maybe. And Merle is being terrible. He's being mean. He's being a bully just to get Daryl to, like, get back up and climb up. He's motivating him, but, like, in his gross Merle-y way. Daryl wakes up from the Merle dream, and there's zombies coming for him. There's 3 of them. So Daryl kills 2 of them, one of them with like a stick and one of them with like a knife. And then the third one's getting close to him. And what does Daryl do? The grossest thing he can imagine. He pulls the arrow out of his side and puts it in his crossbow and shoots the zombie right in the head. Yeah, he pulled the arrow right out.
I don't think you're supposed to do that.
So then he has to get back up and climb back up the cliff, this time without the arrow in him. I guess that makes it easier. He's not bleeding or anything. Who bleeds? He's better than that. He's built different. So he climbs back up the little cliff. He gets back up to the top, and he's got to start on his way back to camp without the horse, because remember, Nervous Nell left. I forgot to say, he also eats a raw squirrel, and those zombies that he killed, he cut their ears off and made himself a necklace. So, like, he can't be hurt that bad, because he has time for arts and crafts, which I can relate to. Daryl, surprisingly, makes it all the way back to the farm, to Crockpot Farm, Herschel's family farm. And he comes walking out of the forest, and he's like stumbling. He looks terrible, covered in dirt and shit and blood and zombie ears. And he's walking and he's stumbling. And Andrea, little Miss Trigger Happy Andrea, wants to shoot a gun so bad. Andrea is keeping watch on top of the Winnebago that always breaks down. And she's like, "Hey, you guys, I see a zombie. There's a zombie right there, you guys." And she's like, "I'm gonna shoot it." But everyone else is like, "No, are you out of your mind? That'll just draw more. It's just one. We'll send the men out with like sticks and everyone will beat them to death. Like a good old-fashioned piñata party." They all run out, and Andrea is a little bit of a sourpuss about that. She's like, "I wanted to shoot. It's just not fair." So she like starts aiming the shot. She's like, "I'm gonna shoot anyway." So then Rick and the men with their sticks and clubs run up to Daryl, and they're like, "Wait a minute, you're Daryl?" And right as they say that,
Andrea shoots him.
Right in the head. He's fine though. She just grazes him. It's like a scratch on the side of his head. But it's like, ooh, they've got to take Daryl back inside to get patched up because he still has the hole in his side, and now he's got shot in the head, but like just barely. He's fine. Herschel like patches him up, stitches him up, but he also complains that Rick's group goes through medical supplies too fast, and it's like, sir, you're gonna say that like while stitching up this guy? That's rude. Next we see Andrea. She feels real bad for shooting Daryl.
As she should.
And she like kind of talks to Daryl, and she's like, "I'm so sorry for shooting you. I feel so bad." And Daryl's like,
"Nah, it's cool. Just like don't do it again, you know?"
He's like kind of chill about it, really. He's like, "No, it's okay. I'm fine. That wasn't as bad as the arrow that I shot myself with, so I guess I can't be mad at you." The episode ends with like a big group dinner between the two groups. It's kind of awkward and silent. But before that, we see Carol takes a dinner plate up to Daryl, who's still resting in bed. So she brings him dinner, and they have another like sweet friend moment. And she tells Daryl so sincerely that he has done more for her daughter Sophia from the Sophia search. Daryl has done more for Sophia in one day than her father, piece of shit Ed, did in her entire life. And that's so sad. Daryl's a little angel, and him and Carol are really starting to like be there for each other, and I love it. So then we see all the group downstairs at their dinner. You've got like the adult table and then the kid table, and the kid table is like Glenn and Maggie and Bethsty and Jimmy.
Don't worry about Jimmy.
And so the dinner's like really awkward and quiet because nobody really like likes each other from the two groups, except for Glenn and Maggie, who are passing little fuck notes back and forth. And Maggie gives him a little paper under the table that's like, let's meet up tonight. Where? And Glenn writes back and gives it to her, and she doesn't read it until later after dinner. And Glenn writes back and he's like,
Let's do it in the hayloft of your barn.
gross, let the animals watch. After dinner, Maggie opens up her note and she's like, the barn? Oh no. And she starts running. And then we see Glenn, and he's like gone into the barn. He's up on the top part where the hay is. I don't know how he got up there. I guess there's a ladder outside or something. I don't know. So he's in there and he sees that the barn, what's it full of? It's full of zombies. Herschel's family has been putting zombies in the barn, you guys. That's a drama. That's another secret. And now Glenn has to keep this secret. What's going to happen? I guess we'll find out next episode. Next episode, Walking Dead, Season 2, Episode 6. This is the last episode we're going to talk about today, and it's been a long time. I don't know how long this video is going to be, but I know that editing is going to take me 60 years. So, let's begin. The episode starts with Patricia, Otis's wife. We don't talk about her a lot. She doesn't matter a lot. That's not nice to say. So we see Patricia, and she is feeding chickens to the zombies in the barn. So like you see, they're like feeding them. But the thing is like, you don't have to. They're not going to die again from not eating. You cannot feed them. That chicken could be for you and your family for a feast with chicken, probably. Yeah, this is the next day. We saw Patricia feeding the chicken. We see Maggie go to talk to Glenn, and she tries to buy his silence with a bucket of apples, I guess. She's like,
Here's a bucket of Granny Smiths. Shut your little mouth, okay? Keep that secret between us, and maybe we'll have sex again.
but Glenn is kind of like, that feels like a real big secret. I'm sitting on a real bad boy piece of information. Glenn is very upset because he's terrible at keeping secrets, but now he has 3. Because he knows that Lori's pregnant, he knows that he's having sex with Maggie, and he knows that there's zombies in the barn. That's 3 secrets. There's a lot of secrets happening this episode. The episode title is actually called Secrets. I usually don't bring up the titles because they're dumb. So Glenn has a talk with Lori, and he wants her to tell Rick that she's pregnant because he knows that now and he doesn't want to have secrets. So he's like, Rick needs to know because you need like pregnancy medical stuff. He's trying to be sweet, but he is completely ignorant to her needs because he's like,
You're pregnant now. Take this beef jerky.
which is like, you're trying, but like, I think she needs like vitamins, you know? I don't know though. Also, Lori tells him to shut the fuck up and mind his business. Shane,
Slain.
we don't like him. Shane is going to teach a gun safety course on the farm. That's honestly not a bad idea. These people need it. Patricia and Bethsty are going to come too. Andrea's going to go. Most of the people in the survivors group are going to go. And Carl wants to go too. But guess what Carl does? He steals a gun. He's right out of bed and he's stealing guns from people. How did he even do that? I think he stole it from Dale. We don't talk about Dale that much because he doesn't matter that much. Carl stole a gun and he got caught. And Lori obviously is pissed. And everyone is like, Carl, why did you steal this gun? And he's like, I'm being mature. I want to take the gun safety course. Honey, you had a gun in the waistband of your jeans. You're not being mature. Lori's very mad at Carl, but everyone's like, yeah, he probably should learn how to shoot a gun though, you know? So they're going to let him. He doesn't get in trouble. This is the first instance of Carl probably should have just stayed in the house. Then we see Glenn talking to Dale. Dale is like an older wise figure who always looks like he'd rather be fishing. And Glenn spills all the beans, all the secrets. He's talking to Dale. He's like, Lori's pregnant.
I had sex with Maggie. There's walkers in the barn.
Drama bomb. I can't believe he couldn't keep even one of the secrets. That'll come back later. At Shane's gun school, we see everyone shooting. Andrea does incredible. Annie Oakley, bullseye, ping, ping. She's shooting the little cans. Carl does fine too, I guess. So now Dale, who knows all the secrets now, he goes to have a talk with Herschel and find out what's going on with the zombie situation in the barn. And Dale tries to he's like, oh, I was just going for a walk this morning and I walked past the barn and heard some interesting noises. And so Herschel tells him that he doesn't think that the zombies are monsters. He thinks that they're just people that are sick and there's going to be a cure soon. But Dale's kind of like, honey, we were at the CDC. Nobody's coming to help you. But Herschel is like, I don't call them monsters. I call them my wife and my stepson, which is like fair, I guess, but like they're zombies and they're going to eat you. But Dale's pretty reasonable. It's not his land. So Dale is like, okay, that's fine. How about we help you fortify the barn so it's safer and they don't get out? And Herschel's like, no, why would I do that? Don't be stupid. He also tells Dale to keep the secret. Everyone's keeping secrets. Speaking of secrets, Lori finds out that Herschel's gonna make them leave the farm because Rick hadn't told anybody that. Lori and I guess everyone in the group just assumed that they were just going to live there now. They moved in, they unpacked, they live there. And it's like, Herschel's not going to let you do that. And like, I get where they're coming from because it's terrible outside. And later on in the show, that would absolutely be okay. But Herschel's not there yet. He's not there yet. He's like, no. Rick is kind of like, don't worry, he's going to change his mind. He's not going to change his mind. So after finding out about that, Lori is upset, understandably. So she's like walking through the camp and she's upset, but she's trying to hide it. But then she smells Dale's cooking and she's like, that smells awful. I've got to go have morning sickness off by this tree. So she goes off and she like throws up. It's gross. And then Dale comes over and he's like, oh, a way to be smooth about knowing this secret too. And Dale is like the wise older man. So he's like, when my wife was pregnant, she couldn't stand the smell of my cooking. And Lori is just like, Glenn told you, didn't he? He did. He totally did. So they kind of talk about being pregnant. Dale asks if the baby is Shane's because he knew that secret too and he just kept it to himself. And Lori is like, no, of course not. This is Rick's baby. Shut up. It's not Rick's baby. It's Shane's. Also, Lori is really conflicted because she's not sure if she wants to even bring a baby into a zombie apocalypse dead world where there's going to be no joy and only running from zombies forever, which I guess is fair. But we do see later on that Judith, the little baby, gets a sword. So Lori doesn't know what she's talking about. Lori also sends Glenn into town to get some more pro-choice pregnancy vitamins. You get it? You get it? Do you understand? So, but Glenn doesn't now. Glenn takes Maggie with him to go to the pharmacy to get the stuff for Lori and also just like other stuff. And Maggie is upset with Glenn because he didn't keep her secrets. But like, girl, that was kind of a big secret that affected other people, you know? But he didn't keep any of the secrets, so like she should be a little mad at him. So they're at the pharmacy. Maggie's still upset with Glenn. They're separate looking for their stuff. And then a zombie attacks Maggie. It almost kills her. Don't worry, Glenn saves her. He like cuts the head almost off, but then the zombie's still coming at him like all like this. So I think that's like when Maggie realizes that they're not just people, because people normally don't do that. But don't worry, Glenn kills the zombie and it's dead. And then the two of them are hugging and it's like, aw. And so Maggie was upset at Glenn, but then she was upset that she almost died. So we're like back at the camp. Maggie's Maddie that they almost died doing stupid errands for the group, and she doesn't want to be doing that stupid shit anymore. But then Maggie's Maddier that she realizes that Lori sent them out for abortion pills, and Maggie's not okay with that. So Maggie goes and like yells at Lori, and she's like, we almost died for this. Here's your pro-choice abortion pills. Yeah. She is so judgy to Lori about that. Like, Maggie, you keep dead people in a barn. You don't get to judge people. So then we're like off. Glenn has a heart-to-heart conversation with Maggie. Maggie calls him stupid, but then she makes out with him. So she is clearly really shooken up by this whole zombie encounter. I guess she's never been almost eaten before. She also tells Glenn that she really cares about him, and that's really sweet because they're the OTP. So then after that, Glenn has a talk with Lori. This episode is all talk. So Glenn talks with Lori, and he tells her that in case she changes her mind, he also picked her up some prenatal vitamins that she can take. But he also says that she still needs to talk to Rick because Rick needs to know this. So towards the end of the episode, Lori decides to take the pro-choice pills in the tent, and she leaves the wrapper in the tent. So she takes the pills, but then she immediately decides she doesn't want to take them. So she runs out and like spits them out. And she's like, bleh, bleh, bleh. So she doesn't take the pills. But Rick goes back to their tent and he sees the pro-choice pill wrappers there. And he goes and finds Lori. And he sees her and he's like,
Lori, is there something you need to tell me?
And she looks up at him and says,
Yeah, I'm pregnant and we can't leave the farm.
So the two of them have a fight about how they were keeping secrets from each other because Lori knew she was pregnant for quite a while. And they have like their little argument. But Lori's also like, you kept the secret that Herschel's not going to let us live here anymore. So that was a secret too. So Rick is like, okay, you're right. No more secrets between us. There's no more secrets. And Lori is like, okay, I can agree to that.
I had sex with Shane, like, so much while you were gone.
And Rick is kind of just like, yeah, I know. Like, it's fine. You thought I was dead. Have you seen Shane? I'd be upset if you didn't. So yeah, Rick is just like, that's fine because you thought I died. Freebie. And that's the end of that episode, you guys. I cannot believe we made it all the way through 6 episodes. The next video will be covering 7 episodes. So that one will probably be even longer. Hopefully I'll have it out before too long. And also hopefully the editing on this doesn't take forever. If you like what you see, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe because those numbers going up give me new dopamine receptors. I love you so much. Bye!